Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and a big warm hello to my subscribers. Today's video is jammed packed full of awesome four-season pizza pan ideas. And as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. We start off with this one by making some straight lines all the way down the pizza pan. I do want to add that these pizza pans were painted with Rust-Oleum chalk paint this time, and there were 2 coats on each pizza pan. That's a great paint. It doesn't chip off for me and works really well for this application. And of course, they don't have to be perfectly painted on the sides because you typically add a border, the nautical rope, and it covers that up anyway. You just need to make sure that round part, in the front, obviously gets painted really, really well. So I'm using the same blue paint that I just used with the bicycle one, and this is from the Dollar Tree. It is supposed to be an acrylic paint, and I think I mentioned it. I mentioned in a video before that I was disappointed because it comes off more like a watercolor almost. It's somewhere between an acrylic paint and like a glaze or a watercolor. As you can see, it's really transparent. But for this particular DIY, it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted that really dreamy feel because I wanted the feel of the ocean and the beach. So nothing harsh. Like if this had been a harsh blue, I would have taken some white paint and just dry brushed over it to make it softer. So you can do that if you don't have this color. Just use a regular old blue and then dry brush white paint over it to make it nice and soft. But in this case, I don't need to do that, so I just leave it like this. And that's what it looks like when I'm all done. Now I got this lighthouse from the Dollar Tree. It's with their nautical collection. I thought it was so cute. And I do end up outlining it with a little bit of the furniture marker. It ends up not being dark enough, so you'll see I do it again with a black marker later down the road. But to start with, I'm using the white nautical rope because I think that is just perfect, absolutely perfect for the nautical look. And in the nautical section in my Dollar Tree, they had another nautical rope where they mixed 2 colors together. It was blue and cream, I think. And well, you'll see here, I'm going to add that as well. So there's going to be 2 rows of nautical rope. But if you have trouble finding this one right here, check out your nautical section if you have one at your Dollar Tree, because that's where mine put this. It wasn't in your normal area where you find the nautical rope. So if you do decide to go with this nautical rope and you find it, you will have some left over. So I went ahead and wrapped it several times with the jute twine, and I decided to use this as my highlight bow on the top. I wanted to make this pizza pan more simple and clean. It's got a different look for like a coastal look. Not so many florals or bows or things like that. I wanted to keep it very kind of rugged, like you see, when you see landscape with a lighthouse, there's usually like the rugged cliffs or rocks. That's kind of the feeling I wanted to stay with this pizza pan. And then I'm taking the black furniture marker now, like I spoke about earlier, and I'm outlining the lighthouse, because when everything was said and done, you really couldn't tell what it was, to be honest. So I end up coloring in the windows as well. And then now we can definitely see that it's a lighthouse, and I'm using some of the white rock from the Dollar Tree just to glue some more accents at the bottom. Again, I wanted to keep this nice and rugged, really simple and beautiful in its simplicity. Here's a super cute free printable I designed, and it will be down below in my description box. You just go there and click the link and it will take you right to it. And I'm going to cut this out. Now for this particular one, I printed it up on regular old computer paper instead of the tissue paper method because, well, you'll see why in a minute. I need the paper not to be transparent this time because we're also going to be using this really cute buffalo check vinyl I found at the Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to take it out, cut it out, press it down, and kind of get a template there so that I can stick it on the front of the pizza pan. And I will say this is basically just shelving paper. This is my first time dealing with a Dollar Tree vinyl like this and playing with it, and it smells like shelving paper. It kind of acts like shelving paper, so you could line your drawers with this. It's really pretty. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead, as you saw, and just use my pencil there. I actually was pressing down, so it was kind of puncturing it as well, so it left a nice definite mark for me to go by. It was really easy to do. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick it down on the front of my pizza pan. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use a Dollar Tree glue stick to apply this imagery. That way I don't really have to worry about it wrinkling too much like I would with Mod Podge or another wetter glue. This is a great method and it's super cheap and it holds. Next, I'm going to use some of the white nautical rope as the border. Now, I will say the last pizza pan video I did, I painted all of them the right side up and decorated all of them that way. I believe that was the Easter spring one. This time, I decided it would be fun to turn the pizza pans, all of them, upside down and decorate them that way. Honestly, I think I kind of prefer them upside down. For me, I just think it makes a nice ledge there for the nautical rope or whatever border you want to put on, and it kind of gives it a nice kind of round, bubbly look. I like it. But either way is fine. So as you saw, I used 2 of the nautical rope. I used the one in white and then just the regular nautical rope for the border. And then I'm gluing some greenery down at the bottom there. It's just some boxwood that I ordered from Amazon. I have a link down below in my description box for that as well. Walmart also sells it occasionally. And now I'm taking the raffia that I also found on Amazon and talk about quite frequently. I'm really pleased with this raffia. It's super, super strong, kind of performs more like ribbon than raffia. It doesn't shred or fall apart. Now, if you like raffia because it shreds, this does not shred. I tried doing it and it doesn't work. But I just took all 3 colors, wrapped it around that piece of cardboard like a template, and now I'm going to tie it in the middle there. We're actually going to end up making like a raffia messy bow. I'm going to cut the ends like you see me doing here. Then I'm going to trim them up and we're going to have a raffia messy bow. If you want to know how I make my bows, I made a separate video called 10 bow hacks. That's also down below in my description box, where every single bow I make and every video is there so that you can check it out over there. That way I don't have to do an individual tutorial for each time I make a bow in my videos. It is time stamped, so that way you can just click on it and it will take you right to the bow you're interested in. That's a 2-loop bow underneath with the striped ribbon, and that's a messy bow made out of raffia on the top. And I'm just taking some hot glue. I'm going to glue the striped ribbon down first. I thought that was a nice contrast with the buffalo check, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue down the raffia messy bow on top. Next, I'm just taking a jumbo craft stick from Walmart. These are those extra big ones at Walmart, and I'm cutting it to kind of look like a gift tag, I guess. And I'm just cutting slow so that it doesn't splinter. And then I'm going to go ahead and sand it down a little bit just to make the edges nice and smooth. And I'm going to start decorating this tag. Now at first I take one of the Dollar Tree furniture markers and I just go around the edge, and I think, oh, I'm going to leave this natural wood. I love wood, you guys. So typically I tend to favor leaving it natural a lot of the times because I think it's just beautiful on its own. But then I decide that it needs a little bit more of a pop, and it's going to get lost on that paper there because, as you can see, the paper, the background is kind of, well, it's too close in color to the natural wood, and I thought it kind of disappeared when I laid it down, so I went ahead and stained it. And now I'm taking a white chalk pen and I'm just going ahead and writing the word yum on it, taking a little bit of the jute twine from the Dollar Tree to make a little faux like hanger for this. I guess it's my little part that's going to look like it's a gift tag, and then I'm just going to go ahead and glue that on the top underneath the bow. Isn't that just too cute? I absolutely love watermelon. I think watermelon is super cute, but when you add it to this where it's so bright and cheerful, it is so, so cute to me. Let me know what you think. Here's another perfect summer imagery that I created, another free printable down below for you. And on this one, I did use my tissue paper method. This is where I just take gift tissue paper. Any brand of tissue paper will work. And I put it on top of cardstock, tape it down with some, I usually use masking tape, and then put it through my printer right side up so that it prints the image down on the tissue paper, and then I just remove it and use a glue stick to apply it down. And I'm sorry about the blur a little bit here, you guys. I don't know what went on with my autofocus. It did it to another DIY too. I was really upset about it because this is in 4K. And it's like, whoa, what happened here? You're supposed to automatically focus when you're in autofocus, but it didn't. Thankfully, it didn't go so blurry that you can't see what I'm doing here. So I go ahead and make a messy bow with a little bit of the baker's, oh, we're clear now. See, it went back into focus. But I'm using the baker's twine from the Dollar Tree just for fun. I added it in there, a rose, and I'm putting up some florals now. I'm going to add the little rose leaves underneath and tack it down so it doesn't cover the words. I also fixed the tire on the bottom. I don't know if you noticed that, with a little bit of pencil, because it printed on some of the masking tape instead of the tissue paper. So I had to fix that, but it was an easy fix to do. And if you make this one, do this part before you put the border on, because when everything was said and done, I just didn't feel like the tissue paper blended in enough with the stark white background. So I do end up taking a little bit of this blue from the Dollar Tree. This is actually the acrylic paint, and brushing it all over this image, because the image had a little bit of like a blue tie-dye in the background, and it works beautifully to tie it all in. This ends up coming up so, so pretty. Let me know what you guys think. Here's my next print. I love this one, Be Sweet and Bumble. I want to do another little shout out too for our bees to raise awareness. They are finding it hard to find food that is clean enough to eat in today's world with pesticides and GMOs. So don't pick your dandelions off your lawn. Don't spray your flowers. They help pollinate our crops and help feed us, and we need to help them back. And if you see one tired on the ground, you can give them a little bit of honey or jam and help them on their merry way. So this is another one of the film footage here that came up blurry because the autofocus was out of whack, but you can see I just do the same thing that I always do. I used a little bit of water on a brush for my tissue paper, then I just glued it down with a glue stick, and I'm using 2 rows of the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree around the edge. Now I'm using some Hobby Lobby ribbon in different shape loops or different size loops. I got this ribbon 50% off, so it was super cheap, and I'm going to tie it in the center with some of that green raffia. I'm also going to take that green raffia, wrap it around the lid of a coffee can as a template to make a big green raffia bow, which you'll see me tie on in a minute. And there I go. I'm using the raffia to tie the center of this bow. That raffia is really strong. It's kind of more like a ribbon. It's really nice. It's down below in my description box if you're interested. I chose the yellow flowers from the Dollar Tree. I've been waiting to use these because I remember my mom owned a yellow car, and we used to get attacked by bees when we went to this one restaurant where there was these, you know, the bottle brush bushes were, and there was tons of bees. They love yellow, so I love yellow. I think it's very fitting for my bee craft, and I'm adding a little Dollar Tree rose on the top because I just kind of want to circle this guy in a little garden for him. And then I'm adding the green raffia bow at the bottom, and you're going to see me flip the pizza pan around and add some more loops of the raffia because I thought that would be pretty hanging at the bottom. This is actually one of my favorite in today's video. I hope you love it as much as I do. It was a lot of fun to make. For this one, I'm going to do my stripes again, where I draw nice stripes, except these ones are going to be a little thinner than the stripes I did for my lighthouse. And then I'm going to take this really pretty bright red color I found in the Apple Barrel paint line called, it's called Candy Apple. I almost said apple candy. It's called Candy Apple, and I just think it's perfect for this DIY. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint every other stripe. For this project, some of the edges might show, so I went ahead and took my time. It was actually really relaxing and just painted the edges of the pizza pan. I'm not worried if it's perfect. It's kind of sloppy on the bottom ledge because that's definitely going to be covered with the nautical rope as we move along. But the actual edge where it's like a circle and it rises up a little bit, I painted that. And now I'm taking some acrylic paint from Apple Barrel Paint in white, and I'm just going to do a dry brushing over every single one of those little red stripes. Now, I did paint the pan with Rust-Oleum chalk paint. For this part, you can go ahead and use the acrylic paint because it's got a nice base to stick to. And I do spray all of these pizza pans with 1 or 2 coats, depending on how thick it goes on, with a clear varnish. You can also use polyacrylic. Either one will do in clear, and I use it in matte so that there's not a lot of shine. So I have the Dollar Tree truck, as you saw, and then I also have these little stars here that I found at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it was perfect for this DIY. I cut the star off because I'm just going to use it as a template, and I take the truck off of the welcome sign because the welcome sign is kind of cheap, and we're going to start with this right now and trace it with a pencil. Here is a great bold chalk marker. It comes in a set that my son-in-law gave me. I'm pretty sure he got it at Walmart. This is a fantastic blue for patriotic DIYs because it's not too bold. You'll see in a minute the color is just, well, for me, it's like the ultimate blue that I was looking for right there. And it goes on in a way where it kind of already looks distressed, so I don't even have to put any white paint over it. It just looks nice and kind of almost like denim, kind of. I don't know. It's just a great, great effect in my opinion. I love this. So I go ahead and take some of the nautical rope and glue it around the edge. And for this DIY, same exact thing. I'm going to want to go ahead and put 2 rows of the nautical rope around as well, just to make it look more heavyweight and thick. I think that looks really, really nice. But I end up doing that at the end, you'll see. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my patriotic ribbon that I got at Hobby Lobby, 50% off. I really took advantage of it that day because I don't go to Hobby Lobby a lot. I just happened to go in around Easter. I went in at Christmas and she said, "Oh, you just missed our sale. We had 50% off." I said, "Oh no, when are you going to do that again?" And she said, "Oh, we do it like every other week, it seems like. So just keep checking in." And sure enough, I just walked in the next time to look at the Easter DIYs to get some inspiration, you know, the spring DIYs. And all the ribbon was off 50%. So definitely you have to keep checking back in your craft stores. That's my local one. I can literally walk to it, but Michael's is a good one too. So you saw what I did. I took the ticking stripe in navy blue and just, you know, put on top of the patriotic ribbon. I made 2 loops for that one loop for the other one. You can find these bows in my 10 bow hack video. Don't forget, those are all time-stamped. Those are just simple like 2 loop bows and single loop bows that you can go and check out how I made those. And now I'm taking some of the raffia and I tied it at the top, kind of like I'm making a tassel, because I wanted it to spray out in this formation here. So it kind of resembles those banners that hang. You know how people, they'll hang the banner that is like the old-fashioned banners they used to hang on the White House, and they're like half a circle, or it can represent the fireworks. It's just kind of symbolic. I thought it gave it a little bit more of a patriotic feel than just putting, you know, the typical just raffia bow on or whatever. I just thought it would be fun to kind of have a little bit more of oomph, a little oomph for my patriotic DIY. And I go ahead and tie it in by making a smaller red raffia bow that I can glue on the center of the cloth bows. I don't know if you've seen the Dollar Tree trucks yet in person, but they have a very high shine, which I don't care for. No, I don't want to cover it up because we'll lose the blue color of the truck. So what I do is I dry brush the white paint on so much that it almost disappears. There's a little bit left behind, but I'm really aiming just to remove the shine of the truck. This kind of gives the entire truck like a matte look, M-A-T-T-E. That's a nice little trick there. And there are the holes on the top. I don't film it, unfortunately, but I kind of sit with this pizza pan looking at it on my mantle for a couple days, and it drives me nuts. Those holes, you can see it right there on the top of the hood. So I go ahead and take some spackling and fill that in, and then paint it with blue paint and dry brush over it so that it blends in and disappears, because I don't know why I didn't do it here. It's not hard to do. Once it's glued down, you can fill it in like that. I go ahead and do a second row of the nautical rope. And I don't know about you guys, but I find the Dollar Tree nautical rope and their jute twine to be a little too furry for my liking, so I always use a little bit of fire and burn around the edges like this to remove most of it. I don't mind if it gets a little charred. I think it adds to the rustic look, but we're done, and I love this one. And we're going to be painting them with chalk paint in the color plaster. I just gave it one thick coat. I painted 4 all together, and I set them aside to dry. Now, I had the camera turned off here. It really made me mad, but this is easy, so I'm going to go through. I actually showed you how to do this, and I still had the camera turned off. This is my 3rd time. But I just took these painter sticks. They are the ones that are linked down below in my description box that I get from Amazon. They don't have that funky end there, so you get more wood. The trade-off is they are a little bit thinner, but I don't mind. I just taped them together using some masking tape. As you can see, I put them up on the pizza pan, flipped my pan over, got a pencil, traced where you have to cut right there. And then I have these really sharp scissors. They're probably for fabric, but I got them at Walmart. They were only like $6, and they're amazingly sharp. I love these scissors, so if I ruin them, I'll get another pair. But they cut wood beautifully, and I just nibbled away at the wood to cut on the edge there, and then I took some hot glue and glued them down. That's it. It was that simple, but I still wanted to explain it to you. So now I'm going to take some Territorial Beige from Apple Barrel Paint, and I'm going to go ahead and give each one of these sticks a nice dry brush to begin with. After that, I take a baby wipe and I'm going to just smear it a little bit just to give it more of a stained look, but I still wanted that kind of rough painted look, like paint chipped off. That's why I started off with the dry brush, and we get that nice, beautiful, uneven look, which is perfect for fall time if you're looking for a rustic craft. Here are some wooden leaves from the Dollar Tree that they seem to come out every year in their little area there where they have the cutouts. I love that. They're beautiful. And I'm taking some of the Apple Barrel Paint and Pumpkin Orange, and I'm just giving them a really rough paint using the baby wipe again. Now, I'm not doing it evenly and solid on purpose, because if you hold a leaf up to the light in nature, they are never one solid color. So we're using nutmeg brown, pumpkin orange, and we're going to also be using flamenco red for this part with the leaves. So I took a baby wipe, like I said, and you'll see here I'm just haphazardly painting. I'm not doing it in a way that's covering it solid on purpose, because when it's all said and done, these leaves are going to look really legit. So you just get the feel for it. Once you get the feel for it, you can do this. It's actually easier. And I'm not changing baby wipes. I use one baby wipe for this whole craft, and I just flip it, as you saw, in another area where it's clean and I haven't got any paint on. So we're going to start off here, and we're going to put our red on exactly the same way we did the orange and the brown. Now with the brown, you're going to see me go back and lighten up the center, because I realized that I am going to put some letters on these leaves and that the brown might be a little too dark. So I was concerned about that. So with the red one, I felt like it still looked a little too fake. So I started using a little bit of the nutmeg brown, just painting it on the edge there. And adding some shadow here and there and some character. I actually go back and add, you'll see, I'm going to add in like actually the stems too. Not the stems, the veins, I guess, the little part of the leaf that, the nutrients from the tree get to. I don't know what that's called. It's like a little thin branch that goes through the leaf, but you'll see me add it in as well. So that's what we have so far. And here's where I lighten up the brown one. I'm just going to put some light in there, and I am going to go over that too, but I just want to get definitely some lighter center area there to make sure on the brown one that my letter does stand out so you can see it. And now that the orange has dried a little bit, I'm going in with the nutmeg brown, and I'm doing that on the edge with all of them. And then I decide to go ahead and add in those little stems or veins or whatever they are that run through leaves to make it look more realistic. And I'm going slow here to show you what I did. I'm just taking my finger there underneath the white, going down the center and out to the side twice on both sides, again to give it more of a realistic look so it looks more like a fall leaf. And that's what we have when we're all done. Now I'm taking some of the stencils from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take a pencil and go ahead and write out the word fall on these leaves. So a trick that I found that works really, really well is to mark with your pencil where you want your letter to start on the left edge so that you get it in the center. So you kind of have to guess a little bit because the stencil is, it's you have to look at the stencil and you have to figure out, eye it a little bit, like how wide is this letter, about how much is that going to spread out on my wood form, on my little leaf. But it did work out by marking the left hand side, because when I didn't do that, I actually did have the F go too far to one side and I had to redo it. So I trace it with pencil, I go back in and fill it in with the black permanent marker, and we're all done with that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the nautical row, and I'm going to glue 2 rows around my pizza pan. After that's done, I'm going to take my pencil and put some faux shiplap lines on the pizza pan, but you're not really going to see these very much. They're going to be mostly covered. And I just take my pencil and pretend like I'm partially erasing them to blur them and mute them so they look softer. Next, I'm going to add all my little florals in first. Now, originally I tried to shove some of the Spanish moss down inside, and it was not working. I could not get the stems to go in there without scraping the pan. It was just a lot of work. So what I found was easier was to first put your florals in where you want them, and then you secure them by pushing the Spanish moss in between each one of the little painter sticks like that, what I'm doing right here. And you can always add glue if you want to as well to keep the Spanish moss in place. I didn't do that. I just pushed it in there really tight, but that worked better. Now I'm positioning my little leaves up at the top there so that they're laid out and balanced in a nice way. And that's it. It says fall. Isn't that pretty? And next, we're going to make these little tiny bows out of the raffia. Now that's my real raffia to the left there. I'm sure you guys recognize it. I'm going to make little tiny bows to cover the little holes on the top of the leaves. I just thought that would be cuter than putting the spackling on them. You can fill them with spackling if you want, but I just wanted to do the little bows. I thought that looked cute. Next, I'm going to go ahead and lay duct tape down first, because the pizza pans are definitely a challenge for making hangers. You can always take a drill and drill holes out of them and actually really loop something through because they're very thin. It's easy enough to do that. But I also found this works just as well. Use duct tape because that's extra strong for outdoors. And you put your nautical rope down on the glue, and then you put another strip of duct tape just like what you saw, and you push down really hard while it's still hot, and you shouldn't have any problem. And I think this came up so beautiful. Next, I'm going to be using this really cute pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. I just went ahead and used the pumpkin orange from Apple Barrel Paint again, and some of the wall repair. Now this is just spackling, so any spackling will work for this. I started painting this pumpkin and then I forgot to spackle in the little holes at the top, so I went ahead and kind of backpedaled there, spackled that in, and then continued to paint him orange. As I'm moving my arm, you can see that little black mark on the upper right-hand corner of his mouth there. That was part of the wood. It was a discoloration. If you get something like that, try sanding it. Sometimes it comes off. I didn't really notice that until I went to paint him orange. So the way that I handled it was just to take some of the Waverly chalk paint, because it's like a one-coat paint, in the color plaster. It could be white, it could be anything like that, just not black. And I went ahead and I painted it white and then dried it and then painted it orange again. And that did the trick. So now I'm just using some of the Waverly chalk paint and plaster and painting his little mouth black and his eyes black. So now I'm just grabbing a pencil here and drawing in some lines down here to make it look more dimensional, like a pumpkin. I also put the little top in there for the stem. And I love using pencils. You guys can use paint if you want. Some people like to smear the paint a little bit, make it like a shadow. For this, what I do is I use the pencil and then I take an eraser to kind of smear it and make the pencil look more like a shadow, so it's not such a harsh line. And that does a fine job, because this is going to go on my front door for the trick-or-treaters, and so, you know, you won't, from the street view, it'll be perfect. And I'm using the colors Territorial Beige and Burnt Umber for the next step. This is a fun trick I showed when I made a pumpkin fall craft back in 2020, and it really flipped a lot of people out. They loved it, so I'm bringing it back. It's my way of doing my pumpkin stems because it's cheap, easy, fast, and looks really good. So you take the burnt umber, you paint it first with burnt umber if you don't have a dark color underneath. If you have a dark color underneath, skip that step. Then you put your Territorial Beige down and then the burnt umber again, drawing in between each step. And I'm just taking a craft knife. You can use a craft knife or a utility knife, and you start scraping that baby upwards so that you get that nice dimension right there. Look at that. And it creates a really realistic looking stem for pennies on the dollar. That's the way I do my stems. It's a great trick, and it actually gives it texture too, so it looks really good. Now I'm taking some white from Apple Barrel Paint. I decided I don't want the pizza pan to stay the off-white color for this next step, so I'm going to paint it first with white, dry it, then I'm going to go ahead and take a pencil again and a ruler and draw some stripes on this. We're going to be putting some stripes on this pizza pan. This pizza pan, I don't know if you notice, is upside down. Upside down is my favorite way to work with pizza pans. I will occasionally work with them right side up, and you'll see that a few times in this video, of course, but I really love them upside down because that border is a perfect place for twine, nautical rope, sisal rope, whatever you want to put on your pizza pan. It just provides the perfect little edge there. So now I'm taking the permanent marker in black, and I'm just going to make the lines have the border just to start. It gives me a little bit of a buffer there when I'm going to go paint, so I can stay within my lines. And I'm taking the plaster color again from Waverly Paint, the chalk paint, and I'm just going to go ahead and make some black stripes on this pizza pan. Because this is upside down, you do have a little bit of that bubbled edge there, so I am going to go through and just make sure that the black paint goes all the way down, just in case my sisal rope doesn't cover that. Now here's some sisal rope I got at Walmart. Again, I haven't worked with sisal rope, I don't think, since 2020, but a lot of you guys told me when I said, hey, I got mine for $8 something on Amazon, you said, go to Walmart, it's cheap, it's like $4 or $5 or something like that. I did, and it is cheap, but I will tell you, it's a lot thinner than the sisal rope I was working with before, and because of that, I ended up having to do 3 turns on this pizza pan to get it as thick as I wanted. So I was thinking, well, depending on what you're crafting with, you know, if you're not trying to cover something and you're not trying to take up any space, then it's a great deal. But again, if you're like me, I wanted to go around the pizza pan just once. So for me, I'm probably going to go with the one I have listed in my description box because it's smoother, it's a little bit lighter, kind of smells like sweet hay, it's really nice, and it's about 3 times as thick. So I prefer that one, and I think in the end, it's probably a better deal. I mean, like if you're using it for what I'm using it for, because you don't have to use so many rows, or at least it's the same deal. So now I'm taking some of this great gingham print ribbon here from the Dollar Tree. I love their gingham print in all their different colors that they have. It's great. This one is orange, perfect for fall. I'm going to go ahead and wrap my last piece of sisal rope that I'm going to put around this tray with this ribbon. So I go right up against the edge for this one, so it looks really 3D. And I use those pink clips that you can use for drawing to hold it as I go. That's a great trick, by the way, because otherwise it's a little challenging because you kind of have to pull on the ribbon a little, to tug it to make it flat so it doesn't have any weird bubbles and it lays flush with the sisal rope. So if you see those little pink, you can use clothes pegs, but I don't think they'll be strong enough. I think they'll come off, but any strong clamp will work. But if you don't have one, this is definitely worth, those pink ones are definitely worth $1.25 for this craft. And and I use them a lot for drying too. They're actually quite strong and they're tiny enough where they're easy to work with. I like them. Not making any profit here on that one. That's just my own personal opinion, but I really like those little pink clamps. They make great potato chip bag closers too. You can buy those, but they're more expensive. You usually have to pay like $1.25 for one or two. You get the whole set with those and they're strong. So now I'm going to take the jack-o'-lantern and just glue it down on the piece of pan, but this time a little bit to the side, to the right. I kind of saw this on a Pinterest pizza pan, or I don't think it was a pizza pan. I think it was just a plaque from a store. But I thought, ooh, that would work with a pizza pan, and what a great idea. It just gives it a little bit of a different look. It kind of sits off to the side there, and you don't have to do a jack-o'-lantern. You can always use just a regular pumpkin for this. Now here's a little curly cube left over from one of my florals from the Dollar Tree. I'm not sure which floral this was, but I thought that would be perfect for my pumpkin for fall, so I kept it. And then I just used a leaf. Again, you guys, I don't know how many of you do this. If I have too many leaves when I'm gluing my florals in, I will save the leaves because they are great for pumpkins and things like that. Christmas, you never know. They're just great to keep. So I put a leaf there, and now I'm adding a little bit of Spanish moss just to make him look a little bit more pumpkin patchy. I guess like he's been out there in the wilderness growing out in the little pumpkin patch. But I take and I go ahead and put the sisal rope on as a hanger to keep it in a theme, the same exact way I did with all my other hangers, where I put the duct tape down first, then the hot glue, then duct tape again. You can use masking tape, but these might be outside, so if you're going to put outside, I think duct tape's probably a safer bet. You can also get it at the Dollar Tree. There's my choices of ribbon. I do decide to go ahead and use some of the hula skirt in there from the Dollar Tree, again, just to make it look a little bit more like autumn and Halloween. Got to get that little bit of straw look in there. And I glue the messy bow off to the side. Love that ribbon too. That looks almost like a web there at the top. It's not meant to. I think it actually comes out during the nautical time, but it's perfect for fall. Complements, even if you're not doing Halloween, it just complements the fall, I think. And it comes in cream and rust colors, fall colors, really pretty. Now I'm adding a sunflower because I thought that was really cheerful with this little jack-o'-lantern. He's smiling. And I'm going to add some greenery and just some different florals to decorate it. And it comes out, again, really cute. I guess I don't really upload anything if it's not really cute. If I really, really hate something I've made, which isn't, I'm being honest, it's not often because I usually take forever staring at things to decide exactly how I want to do it. But there have been some crafts that I don't really like all that much. They don't make the cut, so you never see them anyway. So that's why I always say I love what I made, because I don't share it with you unless I think it's really worth sharing. So this time I took some masking tape. I wrapped those little flowers up. All of my florals are from Dollar Tree except for the boxwood. That's from Amazon. It's down below in my description box. The tape really helped give the hot glue something to stick on. I even took the bottom ribbon and glued that down around the flowers to give it extra little support in case it comes unglued. It will just land between the ribbons. It won't, between the ribbon, it won't fall off. And we're just going to go ahead and kind of pull that ribbon downwards so it moves with the flow of the pizza pan. And here I go right here where I glue the actual bow down on either side with hot glue, because I think, holly, that will help hold your flowers in place and just give it extra support, because this is going to be, like I said, on my front door. But here it is, so cheerful, so happy. I love this. Well, here's another vinyl placemat idea. For this one, we're using the Gather Here with Grateful Hearts vinyl placemat from the Dollar Tree. I thought it's perfect for autumn. I'm just going to take a round dish to go ahead and trace it out as evenly as I can. Any round dish that fits that placemat will work. I'm using one that is plastic from the Dollar Tree. It kind of bumps up a little bit so that I can hold on to it a little bit better than just a flat plate. And I'm cutting it out. Next, I'm going to use this Craft Bond Extra Strength Elmer's Craft Stick. I will say the Dollar Tree glue sticks seem to be just as good, but since this is shiny, you have to make decisions when you're crafting, and this is already a resistant type material to get it to stick because it's shiny vinyl. So for this one, I went with the brand name glue stick just to be sure, because I had done it before with these placemats and it didn't come off, it stayed, and I didn't want to take any chances because the pizza pan is also shiny, so the whole thing is kind of shiny. And here we are with an upright pizza pan. This one is not upside down, and that's because I wanted to put the faux wood frame on the edge here. I'm just taking some antique wax with a baby wipe and gently going around and creating some faux wood. You can use any antique wax you you can use any antique wax that you want. It all works. And now I'm using the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and glue on the inside of this pizza pan. And this pizza pan is designed to go with those of you that love neutral farmhouse or just neutral fall decor. This isn't even farmhouse. There's always a little bit of a rustic look because you deal with the autumn leaves and trees, and kind of can't avoid that too much with autumn unless you go glam. But for people that love the neutral decor, the ones that have a lot of the warm browns, greens, soft creams, very soft peachy pumpkins, that kind of thing, this is a perfect wall decor piece for you. I went ahead and did 2 rows of the nautical rope, and I'm going to use that Dollar Tree Hawaiian skirt again to get some of a, I guess, raffia look. I do have normal raffia, but I like the way the Dollar Tree hula skirt hangs down. It kind of drapes heavier. Well, it's made to be a hula skirt. That's probably why. But the raffia sometimes can be, you kind of have to bend it, you know what I mean, to get it to drape gracefully downwards. So I just went ahead and went with the hula skirt instead because it gives the same feel of straw, and it looks really pretty and works really well for bows, as you can see. So I'm just making a super thick bow here, and I'm going to start making my messy bow. I love messy bows. I've talked about this in other videos, but I do want to point out that I am removing the wire because for some reason they were slipping out and they were poking me, and I felt like someone might get hurt. So for this messy bow, I chose to take them out, and you just slide down the corners, grab some tweezers. I'm using Dollar Tree tweezers, and yank those babies out. They come out super simple, and that's it. So back to the messy bow. You know how you walk in a fabric store and you see all of this beautiful material and they're all mismatched, but they're matched and they're all color coordinated. I think that's why people make quilts too, so you can get all of the pretty fabric together in one place and you get that whole energy. It like creates all the different fabrics and prints create one singular energy, which is really, really pretty. You get the same thing with the messy bows. So when you're making singular bows, it's really hard. Loop bows even, you kind of can't put that much ribbon into it to get a feel like that. But with this one, I can go, oh, I love this ribbon, I love this ribbon, I love that one and that one and that one, and I can make I can make a bow out of all of them too. That's what I'm gonna do. So, because I go into the Dollar Tree and I love their fall ribbons. I love their ribbon, period. It's just a great deal for the price. I love it. Hobby Lobby has good deals too when they come on sale. But I just put that all together. I do have a separate bow video. I mentioned that in other videos too. It'll be down below in my description box. You can check that out. It does have individual tutorials for each and every bow I've ever made and the proper name for them as well. And that is really handy. So if you want to check it out there, but you can kind of see what I did. So now I'm just gluing the straw bow on top of that bow. I'm using one of the pumpkins from the Dollar Tree that is neutral. I love that look. And just for a little bit of a splash of color, I'm going to go ahead and use some of these, or actually a sunflower. I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. And here I'm I'm adding, again, really soft colors. This is kind of a peachy orange, but it ties in the fall colors in the ribbon beautifully. Did the same back on that one to hang it. And these shall remain unnamed. Did you see that? It said just decor. I think it's because they can pass for apples or pumpkins, depending on how you paint them, so they're not going to name them. But in keeping in with the neutral theme, I go ahead and glue those on either side. And I forgot to do this. I don't know why. I should have done this. If you make this pizza pan or any pizza pan that doesn't have the nautical rope as an edge that you're going to touch with your fingers, you have to seal it, because over time, the pizza pans, especially if they're going to be outside on a door, they tend to want to lift up, especially if your hands are sticky or sweaty or cold. So you do have to seal your edges. I just take the Mod Podge. It was super easy. You can see what I'm doing here. I just cover the whole edge, and that will preserve it. The rope, you don't have to worry about it, because obviously you're touching rope. That's why I like doing them upside down, because it gets the nautical rope there and you can touch it all day long and nothing will come off. But this is also a very pretty look. So when you do this, make sure you seal it. I was going to take it outside and just spray the whole thing, but I didn't want to get everything all over the florals this time and the nautical rope. But I love the way this one came out. For this next one, we have this super cute trick-or-treat sign on a little cauldron from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use some apple barrel paint in the color pumpkin orange. I'm going to go ahead and paint this on top of the pizza pan and set it aside to dry. Now I'm using Kelly Green from Apple Barrel Paint. I decided to paint this kind of haphazardly where some of the wood was showing at the top, thinking that that would be good enough to look like little puffs of smoke or steam, you know, that's supposed to be on the top of the cauldron. But then I ended up having a better idea that I thought would work better, and it did. I went ahead and painted it a solid green, and I didn't let it dry all the way, and I go ahead and I tap some white paint on it right here. You'll see what I do in a minute here. I'm going to tap it on where I think it would look kind of cute for a little bit of puffy clouds. And then I'm going to go ahead and sweep it like a dry brush here. I almost felt like a Bob Ross here because it was like the blending of the colors a little bit together. See how that's kind of blending nicely together? And it gave it a really pretty, more realistic smoky feel on the top. Came out really nice. Look at that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And I'm going to go ahead and paint the entire wood part black. I set that aside to dry, and while it's drying, I'm going to take some of the Gorilla Glue and the Dollar Tree nautical rope. Gosh, I drew a blank there for a minute. And I'm going to do 3 rows of this. Now I usually like to cut mine in separate pieces. I've mentioned this before and I'm just pointing it out again. You can go ahead and keep it in one long strip if you want. I like to cut them at the top and keep it like one seam at the top. Sometimes when you bend around the corner, I have found it kind of takes up too much room when you try to put another row on. I don't know if that makes sense, but it creates a lump. But if you just do separate rows of the nautical rope and cut it each time, you get more of a smooth, you have enough edge of the pizza pan left, if that makes sense. So I went ahead and put 3 rows on there. And of course, I like my things a little distressed, a little bit rustic. So I went ahead and dry brushed the entire black part with a little bit of white paint. I'm just using Apple Barrel white paint. And now I'm using some of the Gorilla Glue to glue this on. And by the way, somebody asked me to try Gorilla Glue to measure it up against a Surebonder if it worked just as well, and I am finding it just as nice as the Surebonder glue in strength. I have not tested it, to be fair, on wood to wood, because they do have actual special glues at Surebonder that claim they glue glass, claims it glues wood. So I haven't done that, but it is a really strong glue, and I got a great deal on it at Walmart. It wasn't very expensive. So now I am taking the white paint and I'm filling in the letters. Now here, I gotta tell you guys, boy, always wiser in hindsight. definitely trace those words out and then lift your sign up and just paint solid white there, because that took me forever. I speeded through it, but it took me forever. And I did get some, up on the sides, and I had to go back with black. It was a pain. Or just take some white poster board and glue it behind the words, but don't do what I did. It took forever. So I went ahead and made a messy bow. Have to add the purple in there for this one. It was just so perfect for Halloween. This is such a cute door decor for little kids if they're trick-or-treating. I just used some of the black and purple roses from the Dollar Tree, one of the little pumpkins that I absolutely love. And now I'm just cutting wherever I think it's covering up too much of the cauldron. I am gluing some orange in there. I decided we did need to kind of accent this with some orange. It is fall after all, even though the whole sign's orange. I just felt like it needed to tie it in, with the back of the pizza pan in with the flowers. And it came up perfect. I love this. It took me a long time to decide what I was going to do with this cauldron, but look how cute that is. I love this. I used Rust-Oleum chalk paint so that it would adhere really well. I have good luck with that one. And I'm using the Elephant Gray by Apple Barrel Paint to do some dry brushing. This is a little wooden truck here that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I think they're carrying this all year round. At least at my Dollar Trees they are, so that's nice. And you can paint it any color you want for any season. I thought it would be fun to use the antique parchment to do this truck, and I am keeping it this time. I stayed with the antique parchment, so I'm just going to give it one coat, let it dry, and then I'm going to do some dry brushing with my antique wax. That's just my favorite look for the fall season. It comes up perfect. If you don't have a Dollar Tree or you're one of my international viewers, you can always print these things up online. Like you can find the truck online, print it up, glue it down on a cereal box with a glue stick so it's nice and dry, and kind of get that 3D look that way. You can also use a thicker cardboard if you wanted to imitate wood more, and then use a multi-purpose filler or polyfilla around the edges to cover that cardboard and camouflage it. On this part of the truck, I decide I want that little wooden bit in the back that's supposed to be on the top of the truck to stand out, so I'm using the wax full strength. Now I'm just taking some black paint, and we're going to go ahead and paint the tires black and paint the center of them white. This is a little red barn I found on the Clip Art site where it's free, and I will leave that link down below in my description box. Now I had to go ahead and print this up on regular computer paper because I had dry brushed the pizza pan. Now for those of you that watch my channel, you know my favorite transfer method at the moment is using tissue paper, just like you would use for gifts, gift tissue paper, and I tape it onto cardstock and then run it through my printer and put it down that way. But because I had already done the dry brushing, you see, here's the great thing, the tissue paper, right? It's transparent. That's why I love it so much, but then it's transparent, so I forgot, and that would show the dry brushing through, and it doesn't look good. So I ended up having to use computer paper. It was no big deal though. This came up so cute. It did not detract from it at all. In fact, it made it look kind of a little thicker and hardier, more woodsy, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's paper, which is wood, and when it's thicker like this, it just kind of went with the barn look, so it worked out good. And I'm going to go ahead now and just dry brush some white paint on it, and then we're going to go and add the nautical rope around the edge. So I showed this in a previous video, how you can go ahead and take regular Amazon boxes, cut the little shapes that you want, and then just remove the paper top, and you end up with this really neat serrated top. Use sandpaper and or a sanding block and use it really lightly to get the rest off, and it just makes for a super cute, free, whatever you want to cut out of it. You can do Easter bunnies, pumpkins. It's just a great crafting piece. You can even make it look like faux galvanized because it is serrated like this, or even just antiqued or aged metal. I'm using orange paint, and then I'm taking the nutmeg brown from the apple barrel line. Both these colors are from the apple barrel line, and dry brushed it on the front of this little pumpkin, used it for the stem, and now I'm applying a little bit of the Spanish moss at the top. It's so cute, and again, these make such cute pieces, or it's a cute material for all kinds of crafting, Christmas trees too. It just looks super cute. So now I'm taking the same Spanish moss. We're going to glue this underneath the truck. I just thought it kind of looked like hay or some of the stuff that's sprawled on the ground in front of a barn. I thought that was cute. And for this truck, I decided I wanted him like a 3D. So I'm using 2 of the Dollar Tree wooden cubes. I glue it on, and then I'm going to glue it on the front of this little pizza pan here. Now I do glue it at a slight little angle where the truck looks like it's going uphill a little bit. I just thought that added more cuteness and character. You don't have to do that. I just like doing that. And because I did want the pumpkin to be at the front of my scene here where I'm filling up the back of the pumpkin, I do add a Dollar Tree cube to the back of that pumpkin so that I can lift him up and move him towards the front of the fall scene there that I want to fill up in the back of this truck. And it's almost like a little vase. You can start tucking anything you want down there that's fall. Leaves, flowers, even that like little small pieces of corn, 3D pumpkins, and there is some lavender leaves left over, which I actually thought looked like a little vegetable kind of. I just thought it added some color and more of a farm look. And we're all done, and I absolutely love this. I am painting it with a latex paint by Behr, B-E-H-R. It includes a primer. It's an ultra matte dry, but it claims it will stick to glass, plastic, pretty much anything shiny. So I just wanted it to be really durable, because once you start taking that chalk and scratching away on the pan, I was worried it would scratch off. So I chose a paint that would stick, and I do 2 coats. So I do this and then I let it dry, and then I come back and do a second coat, which I did not film, but it was too streaky and you could see some of the metal through, so it definitely requires 2 coats. Here's some real acorn heads and an Easter egg from the Dollar Tree that I found during the, last spring, this last spring. And I got so excited, you guys, because I realized 3 of my acorn heads fit those little eggs just perfect. So I paint them in antique parchment by Apple Barrel, and then I just kind of scribble on, you can see me doing it right here, the territorial beige, just to make it look kind of rustic and more like an acorn. And then I glue the top on, and look at how adorable that is. This is kind of a DIY number 5, but I just threw it in there because I'm going to use these 3 little acorns to decorate my pizza pan. But you guys could do that as a whole separate DIY and just fill a little glass jar with those. They're so cute if you live near a tree that gives off acorns. Or you could just design your own little top for those eggs. But here I made a sign, Autumn is Calling, and the free printable is below in my description box. You can click on that link and it will take you to the printable that you can print up. And I traced the back of it with regular old chalk, no big deal, and I stayed on the letters. So you get a really clean transfer when you stay on the letters and you don't just scribble all over the back of it. I've seen people do that, and it's really dusty, you guys, so I recommend that you try to stay on the letters and you save chalk. And I'm using my favorite chalk pen, also below in my description box, just to trace it here. Go ahead and I paint the entire edge with white Apple Barrel acrylic paint. And if you guessed it, yep, here we go again, you guys. It's that high-end rich formula antique walnut stain. That's what it says on the label there. I sounded like a commercial, but I love this stuff. It's water-based and it glides amazing. Like a little bit goes a long way. And look at how much warmth having a faux wood frame added to this sign, it was amazing. It went from looking spooky to just looking warm and fallish. I love this. I love the fall leaves and I love the fall colors at fall. So I'm just trimming the edge there. As you can see, you bend it, you cut it up at an angle, and you get that nice little fork end. This is going to be on my front door. So I wanted it to pop, and I just really wanted it to scream fall. So I thought if I put the ribbon up there with all the different colors of leaves falling and they kind of sparkle, it would really make a statement piece on my front door. And here I'm gluing some flowers on the bottom. Now, this is going to be on my front door. I have a heavy wooden front door, and it just felt like it needed a little more weight and balance. I think if I was going to keep this inside, I would have skipped this part and left it empty. And I'm even gluing some little berries in the center of that flower. I thought that looked so pretty. And I'm using one of these little home sweet home signs that I took from another project. It was these little arched windows that you can find in the frame sections at your Dollar Tree. And I'm just using a heat gun and peeling off the front sticker. It's super easy. And whatever doesn't come off, I take a nail file. I love the nail files, the really raspy ones that you use for like acrylic nails. It's basically sandpaper. I love using those for like fine detail or tiny sanding. They're perfect for that, like in little corners. And they're usually cheap. You can get a whole bunch in a package, so keep that in mind. And now I'm going to take and paint both of those with the folk art chalk paint in the color linen. This is a little time consuming. For those of you that don't like to take time painting like this, you can go out and spray paint it, of course. I hate the smell of spray paint. It kind of makes me feel sick, and so usually I have to plan ahead of time, spray paint, and let it sit for like 3 or 4 days so it doesn't smell. And unfortunately, I thought of this DIY like right before I did it, so no spray paint for me. We were going with the non-toxic, non-fumey chalk paint. But I'm just putting the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. It's basically just black. 1 coat on top of the underside of the pizza pan. Took the nail file, filed the edges of that little snowflake because for some reason it had lots of little like pieces, like splinters almost, even though it's MDF board. It was weird. And now I'm showing you those tin snippers, how good they are with the craft sticks. Look at that. Watch this. Boom. I'm just cutting away. No splinters, no cracking, no waste. So in case you haven't guessed, we are making a snowman hat out of craft sticks, and they're just, craft sticks cut, measured to fit that little head there to the left. That little sign that came on the arched window is going to be my snowman head. And then I took a nail file again, filed the edges so that they're rounded a little bit and not so sharp. And now we're using another one of those stencils to do an awesome snowman face. And we're gonna color it in with the usual, the acrylic paint from, I believe that is pumpkin orange from Apple Barrel Paint. And the permanent marker, I love permanent markers because they're easier to work with. And a little bit of white paint in the eye just to make it look more alive there. And we're using the black paint in the color ink again, Waverly chalk paint for the hat, but any black paint would work. Black paint is such a strong pigment that you can definitely get cheap black paint and still have a really dark, nice result. Now I'm using some of the Dollar Tree gingham black and white ribbon, and we're gonna make a little scarf for his neck. Now I did have to push it down a little bit with my nail so the mouth wasn't covered, but it made it look better. It actually made it look like it was tucked under her chin. I think it's a her this time. I guess it's the eyelashes. I'm thinking that looks, I mean, it could be a snowman, but I'm thinking it might be a her. Okay, so we are taking and fraying the ends of the little faux scarf. And again, we're using the plastic white snowflakes. I'm going to glue one on the scarf, one on the top of the hat, and then put a little bit of frost on the top because it's cold outside. We're going to glue that hat on top of its head, and we are going to take some of the antique wax with a baby wipe and just go around the face a little bit to make it pop, give a little more dimension. I'm going to be gluing this on top of white, so I just wanted to make sure you can definitely see the face of the snow person here. Using some Dollar Tree snow, I'm going to go ahead and take the Elmer's disappearing like purple spray adhesive and spray this so that it gets mostly covered. I mean, I pretty much covered all of it, and then cover it with the snow, press it down, and then shake it off so that we make this snowflake sparkle. This next step is totally optional if you don't want to add twine. You can always use the other side of the pizza pan and just do like a faux wood frame using white paint and then wax and make faux wood. But I definitely wanted to add the twine. I think it makes the craft look more rustic and wintry. And this time, I've never done this before, I wanted to try it. I'm going to take some of the smaller twine this one's from Walmart, it's thicker, and tie it at the top, and then it's actually on the nautical rope, and then glue the nautical rope down with the hanger on it. Just felt like that would be a little more secure. I went to drill holes in this, and there were so many little metal shards. I just said, oh, forget it. I didn't want to deal with it because I thought with my luck, I'll get the metal in my foot. It'll fall on the floor. So I thought we're going to do something different here. We're just going to glue the hanger onto the actual nautical rope to make it stronger, because this is going to be outside on my door when it snows. And I was worried that the hot glue on the back, even though I usually duct tape it, still might freeze and kind of maybe fall off. I'm not sure. I've never dealt with the freezing temperatures yet with the hot glue and the duct tape trick. So I did it this way. This should work fine. Now I'm taking some pine cones and just doing some accents at the bottom of the snowflake. That is Dollar Tree pine, by the way. It's very beautiful. I saved it for my winter DIYs because I thought it kind of had like a more wintry green look to it. I don't know why. I just thought it was less Christmassy. You could use it for Christmas for sure, but definitely it goes nice with the winter. And we're gluing the snow person or lady in the middle. I took some of my white paint and decided to make like little snowflakes around on the twine. Also decided to frost up the pine cones and the pine more. And that's it. This came up so cute. I always hang all of my little pieces like this in the middle of a wreath on my door. You'll see in a minute here how cute it's going to look when it starts to snow. And you're going to, of course, need a pizza pan. This free printable, and the link will be down below in my description box. I printed it up on tissue paper, cut it out, and Mod Podged it on. Now I went fast on that because you guys know how to do it. Now I'm taking a ruler and just drawing some shiplap lines on this with pencil first, and then with a Sharpie permanent marker in the color gray. For this border, I decided to go with some sisal rope and take the Dollar Tree red and white gingham print ribbon and wrap it around. Now you're going to see what I do here. I start off with a drop of hot glue at the top, and then I use 3 of those little clips that you can also get at the Dollar Tree to clamp it down and hold it in place. And I work in sections. I wrap the sisal rope up, and then I glue as I go. So I'm going to speed this up so you can see that I also move the clamps as I'm going as well, just to hold everything in place. But this comes up so pretty. I just wanted the feel of a candy cane with a little touch of farmhouse in there with the gingham print. I thought that was awesome, actually, and it came up much better than, it came out a lot better than what I thought when I envisioned it. I was like, ooh, that looks good. And again, I hope the camera picks it up. It's just a super cute look. And this is what we have so far. Look at that. Isn't that cute? So the next thing I'm going to do is make a messy bow. And somebody asked me if I had a video on this. And really, the most beautiful part of a messy bow is it's a very individualized piece of art. There is no rhyme or reason to it. You just cut up pieces of ribbon. You can dovetail the ends. You can cut them at an angle. You can leave them alone. You can alternate them in between each other or just do big clumps of color or the same ribbon. Totally up to you, whatever look you're going for. I just put a bunch of ribbon together and some of that red raffia that I found at the Dollar Tree. I was so happy about that, and I'm putting some glue on it, and I'm gonna stick this baby down, and that's it. That's my messy bow. Now those two floral pieces there I ordered on Amazon, and they were a great deal. They are so thick and so beautiful and vibrant in real life. I again hope the camera picks it up. Highly recommend you go check that out. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue some more greenery in the center. I'm going to add some more little red berries in the center. I use some thicker Walmart twine to glue a hanger on the back with a little bit of masking tape over the ends to help hold it in place. But I absolutely love this. Let me know what you think. For this DIY, the pizza pan, some paper of your choice, the Dollar Tree wooden Christmas tree, some of these mariachi beads, and some words. Now, this is a printable I purchased last year and didn't use. I will leave the link down below in my description box. I think it was only like $2 though. But I am using the upside down side of the pizza pan for this DIY. And my glue stick because I definitely didn't want this paper to wrinkle. This paper was originally craft paper from Hobby Lobby I got last year. I glued it on the back of this pizza pan using a glue stick, and you do have to cover every little square inch of the pan, and then I just trimmed it with scissors because I'm going to cover the edge. Painted that tree with some white paint, and when it was dry, I applied the printable, which I printed up on tissue paper that was taped onto cardstock paper. Great way to transfer. It's pretty much invisible when you put it down. You can't see it. I love it. It's my favorite way to transfer words at the moment. And now I'm taking the mariachi beads and I'm going to glue those around the edge of this tree. I'm going to use these decorative rhinestone stickers that I got at the 99-cent only store a few years back, but you can get things like this at the Dollar Tree all day long. And I'm going to glue them just sporadically here and there on the tree just to give it a little bit of character. I noticed the word trees online have designs in ink that do this, but I thought it would be pretty to do it with some rhinestones. And then I'm just going to take some hot glue here and glue the tree down on top of the tray. And this is what we have so far. It's so cute. With this craft, I decided to do 3 rows of the sisal rope. You'll see me doing that, and I'm showing you how I work it underneath the edge of the tree there. But I'm very careful with the first row of sisal rope to go right up against the edge of that paper so you can't see the uneven edges. And now I'm putting on my final 3rd row. Lastly, I'm going to hit it with some flame to take off those extra strands that are just a little too wild. And what I can't burn because it's too close to the paper, I just trim it with those clippers. Cuticle clippers are a great craft supply, you guys, a great crafting tool. If you don't have them, use an old pair. When you go buy a new pair, don't throw your old pair away. They are great for clipping off little thin, small things that you can't get to with scissors. And then I decide to go ahead and use some Dollar Tree ribbon to make bows at the top with the ribbon and the raffia. And then I add a little bit of green vine that I got at Walmart. This is my husband's favorite one. And again, I would love to know what you guys think. So you're going to need a painted pizza pan, one of these square Dollar Tree signs, and a spare piece of wood. You can also cut that Dollar Tree sign out too from a spare piece of wood if you have it. And I'm just sanding a little bit here, and I'm going to paint both of those pieces black. Now I'm using hot wood glue, but when I read about the glue I bought, it claims it also glues down metal and glass. The link to the one I use is in the description box. Unfortunately, the last time I checked, it was sold out. But if you go to my Amazon store, I've listed another glue that's very comparable temporarily until that one comes back in stock. And if you don't have that or you can't get it, I recommend at least a high temperature glue gun or a strong industrial glue like an E6000 because you want this little guy's hat to stay on. I took a pencil and did a rough sketch of a face I was happy with. I just wanted a traditional little snowman's face. And then I go ahead and take a black painter's pen, fill in the eyes and the mouth, and then I took a permanent marker from the Dollar Tree in orange to trace the nose. I just find I stay in the lines a little bit better when I'm painting if I do a permanent marker first. I'm giving him some little pink cheeks because it's cold outside, and some snow on his hat. I just want to frost him up. If you picture a snowman on a really cold, frosty day, his little velvet hat is slouched, and I wanted to try and create those little wrinkles that would be in the hat, and then the frost that would happen from the cold weather. So I took a baby wipe here and I'm just wiping this part to try to recreate the little wrinkles and slouches. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I hope you understand what I'm saying, just to recreate that little slouchy hat. Now I start with a bow here and I glue that on the top, but I do end up, it's just not working for me. So I end up taking that off. You'll see in a minute, but I love the ticking stripe ribbon and I'm going to go ahead and glue that around the top of his hat. I decide to go with a snowflake that I got from the 99-cent only store. It's really pretty in real life. I hope you can see it on the camera. It sparkles and glits. It's a perfect snowflake. And that bow moves down to his neck. And I'm super happy with this, the way it came out. I end up taking a little bit of greenery with red berries. I put the little string back on the top of the Dollar Tree sign because the holes are already there. And then I decide to give him a little bit more personality by putting these little white marks in his eyes. And I think he came up so, so cute. For this craft, pizza pan. And the printable coming up here, I designed this and there will be a link down below in my description box. And I'm using the Dollar Tree chalk paint and I found it to be really thick and gummy. So the second coat, and it does require 2 coats, I just used acrylic paint and it worked fine. Now I'm sure the chalk paint is good quality, but I just didn't need it to be that good a quality for the craft that I was doing, and it took a long time to dry. So just I used acrylic and it worked fine. So I'm taking some chalk and you saw what I did. I just scribbled on the back of the letters there so I could transfer them onto this pan. And now I'm taking my chalk pen and we're going to go ahead and fill it in. And this is a little neat trick. You just take some extra yarn that you have and you wrap it around the nautical rope. You can use any color, but it gives a lot of charm and character to the border. You can make things look like a candy cane stripe. I mean, look at that. If that had just been nautical rope, it would have been just so plain. And if you already have a lot of stuff with nautical rope, I mean, it's just another option. I like plain nautical rope too, but I was really having a fun time with doing different designs on my borders. So this worked out really, really well. So for this one, I'm taking the black and white buffalo check ribbon and I'm going to make 3 smaller floral bows out of them. So I looped them around and around probably about 8 or 9 times, cut them at the end, and because I wrapped them around so much, this bow is going to be so full that it's not necessary for me to cut at an angle in the middle there. I usually recommend that if you're going to see the middle of the bow, but you can already see the first one there, how it's done. It's so fluffy. It's like a little flower that you're not going to see the middle. So you can just bend it in half and then cut a slit. Not all the way through, obviously. You want to leave a thin piece of ribbon in the middle there because that's where you're going to be tying. But I like to use twine. I go ahead and tie twine because it's really strong. And then you just take the loops out in opposite direction, twist them, and kind of puff them up. And you get these beautiful, like little flower type bows. I love these. And then I'm taking some of the boxwood greenery and I'm gluing it underneath there. I decide it does need a pop of color, so I do grab some of these little berries here and glue that as well. But I think this came up so pretty. It was a Pinterest inspired craft, but I ended up changing it up so much it becomes your own, doesn't it? But anyway, I take these Dollar Tree snowflakes, put them on there, paint them white, and that's it. I absolutely love this. You're going to need the Dollar Tree pizza pan, and I took it outside and gave it a nice coat with this paint right here. And I'm choosing to use a page from the Brave or Be Brave calendar from the Dollar Tree. Now you can use any imagery you want from online. Oh my gosh, you guys, at Christmas time the blogs have so many beautiful free printables, so don't let that deter you at all. You could probably find something almost identical to this online. And I just took the largest stovetop cover from the Dollar Tree and used it as a template to get a nice circle shape, and I'm going to cut this in a circle shape. Now this was a tip from a few of you viewers. I'm not sure, there were so many of you that gave me this tip that I couldn't list you guys all here, but thank you so much. You suggested that I paint the back of the calendar so that I didn't risk having the calendar numbers and lines show through. So I'm going to tell you what my experience was with this. I've only done it once, so I can't form a full opinion. It did accomplish that goal where I couldn't see the numbers and letters through it, but it does darken up the image, so I wasn't happy with that part. I mean, it ended up coming out beautiful, and you make things come together, but that's something, gosh, I wish there was another way around it besides doing it that way. Or maybe I could have, I could have probably put it on top of a black pizza pan maybe that I spray painted, but I wanted this to be light and bright. That was the look I was going for. So see how it's kind of like a grayish color there, and it does dry a little bit lighter, but to make it all kind of go together, I end up taking this gray color, and you can use any gray color you want from Apple Barrel, and just dry brushing it here and there to kind of make everything blend in. And of course, I Mod Podged it down, you guys, and I'm going to seal it with Mod Podge as well. And I also had some more trouble, I have to be honest, with it wrinkling due to the paint being on the back of it. It kind of shrunk, just like I was worried about with the foam board shrinking with the paper on top. It did kind of shrink the paper on top of the pizza pan, but just thought I should pass that on to you guys so you know. And as you can see, I chose some beads that I got from the 99-cent only store, and I'm using the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just adding some Dollar Tree ribbon and some ornaments and some of their pine cones, or little mini pine cones. And now I'm just taking the bow and kind of placing it in a nice strategical placement so that it looks really pretty and flowing on the top of this little piece. And that's it. This craft came up so beautiful. Take a look. This is a fun one. You're going to need a pizza pan and some cellophane. And again, I bought the cellophane on Amazon. You can get it anywhere. I'll leave the link down below in the description box for the one that I used. And I'm just taking a ruler, drawing some designs on there because we're going to be making some of that little Christmas candy. And I'm taking one of the Dollar Tree permanent markers. It's a super thick, chunky one. And I'm drawing my little borders. Again, I just feel more comfortable when I have the thicker borders from a permanent marker when I paint, so I don't go outside of the lines. This does require 2 coats, so this is my second coat here, and it's still a little bit wet for my next step, but I want it to be because I'm going to go ahead and take some of the Dollar Tree spray adhesive and some of the Dollar Tree fake snow. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at that. It's perfect for this craft, but it's just enough sparkle without being actual glitter, although you could use glitter. But I just thought this almost made the candy look frosty and pretty and just added that little bit of Christmas sparkle, which is so pretty. And I'm just using the adhesive because I don't want it covered all over the place, and it's just a super easy way to get an uneven application of adhesive so you can do this type of thing. So I spray it, sprinkle it on, and I'm going to shake it off, and you'll see the end results. We just have a little bit of snow left behind. Perfect. So I set that aside to dry, and when it's dry, I take the cellophane and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces the same size and put one underneath the pan and one on top of the pan. And then I just use my hot glue gun. You can see me doing it right there on the edge to glue those together on the edges. And you won't see that when you're done, so you'll see in a minute. I fold it over just like you're hemming a skirt or a pair of trousers. You just fold it over and then glue the fold over all the way down those edges as well, and that creates a nice tight pull on the front of the candy and hides where you glued. Now I do want to say I originally planned on painting the back side of this for the candy. I think it would actually look better because it would be rounded, kind of like a candy looks in the front. And I ended up I changed my mind and did another craft, and I grabbed another one of the pans. So all I had left was this pan, but it still looks really, really good. But I just wondered if it would fill out the top a little bit better, the cellophane a little bit better, so it's not loose in the front like that if it was a bit bulky, because on the back it's really tight. So if one of you guys try it, please let me know how it works out. But I just pull it together until it's even, tie it with a bit of twine, and then I choose this ribbon, which is perfect for candy. I'm thinking Santa's Village here, Candyland. And I choose this ribbon. One's from the Dollar Tree, and the other one I ordered on Amazon. It's a ticking stripe ribbon, but it actually has a little bit of sparkle in it. And I make 2 messy bows, and then I'm just going to fluff them out and tie them on the ends. But I think it came up really, really cute. I absolutely love this. It's super cute for a front door hanger. You could make tons of these and put them outside because they're weatherproof. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, you'll never guess what we need. And this is found in the Halloween section at the Dollar Tree. And this is a free printable. I Googled Vintage Angel from the clip art, Microsoft Clip Art, and I will leave the link down below in my description box. Now I'm using a green paint here, and I'm just going to paint it on regular, and then I take a drier brush when it's a little bit dry, and I kind of purposely try and scratch it off because obviously Vintage Angel, I want the whole thing to look vintage. I'm using this water-based stain, which I've spoken about. It's odorless. I love this stuff. The link is down below in my description box again. And so I did the cardstock again, tissue paper again, love it, love it, love it, glue stick again, and I glued half of her down first and then the other half afterwards. I chose an angel because they're just so universal, and I thought it would be fun to do something different. So I grabbed these pens on my last haul. They're furniture, little markers that kind of fix up furniture. I've actually used this for on real wood before on furniture, and they work wonderful if you have a match. And I'm using the dark walnut color, and I'm showing you how it just bleeds into the wood. It gave it such a cool effect. So I had a lot of fun. I kept doing that because I just thought that was so neat looking. And then I take my little craft knife, again from the Dollar Tree, and I cut the paper out of those grooves there because I want those to show. And we're going to go ahead and glue this down in the center of the pan. Now I'm taking the nautical rope and gluing it on the inside of this pan. I'm taking the ticking striped ribbon and I'm going to glue it down, and the ends there, you'll see what I do. I'm going to tack them down so that they look like they're flowing on the outer edges of the pan on either side. Then I just add a little bit of the pine that I ordered from Amazon. That's how thick it is. I cut one off right there and put it down in the middle. And I made another messy bow with just a variety of the green ribbon, the ticking stripe ribbon, the raffia, and some of the lace this time. And then that holly right there really is vintage. That belonged to my mother-in-law, and that came from the 1950s. And I thought that would be so awesome to put it on the pan. And I'm showing you again how neat that pen is, how I go back, so I thought it needed a little more, but looking back, you can even put some of the Spanish moss on top. I chose to put it on the bottom, but I think, I didn't want to go crazy with it, but I think it would also look pretty, just a very, very thin row on top of this as well. But when it was all done, it was absolutely gorgeous. The first thing I want to show you is how I went about painting the pizza pans. This time I didn't spray paint. I did one coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint because that's like more for furniture and I wanted this to be really durable. And I did a second coat. It is just tissue paper you use for a gift. I'm using painter's tape here, and you tape it as tight as you can without pulling it too hard onto cardstock. We're going to print these two prints up right here, and that's how it comes out. I just put it through my printer the right side up so that the ink would print on the tissue paper. And I was showing you how easy it is to remove if you use painter's tape. You don't have to, you can cut it off, but I just wanted to show you that is an option. And now I'm just placing it down where I'd like it to be. I could have just left it all on tissue paper and glued it down because quite frankly the tissue paper is so thin and transparent. I don't think you would even noticed it was tissue paper on the pizza pan, but I went ahead and I cut it out. And now I'm using the Dollar Tree glue stick and I'm gluing it down. Probably the tissue paper and the Dollar Tree glue stick have become my absolute favorites. They're my two go-tos because the tissue paper I think is less noticeable than the vinyl, like from a Cricut. That's really kind of thick, and you have so many more options. You can print up so many more intricate imagery, and I just love it right now, unless they come up with something better. Plus, I know all of you can follow along and recreate these. All of my printables will be down below in my description box today, and they are free printables. Now I'm using the craft sticks I got at Amazon. We are making a little white picket fence, although you can get these at the Dollar Tree. So I'm just starting to cut them into the little top pointy parts there to make it look like a fence. And now I'm just sanding the edges to give them a nice round smooth finish. And I'm going to lay these down and space them out. Now the left hand side there, it isn't glued down. I just laid the craft stick across the bottom, but I am going to go ahead and glue it, as you can see, on the right hand side because I wasn't sure that I should glue both of them, and I was correct. You'll see in a minute. After I glue this down, you're going to see how I actually needed to remove one of the craft sticks. You'll see it right here. I'm going to join it on the other stick. So that side only ended up with 4 craft sticks, and this side ended up with 5. And also, when I place this down on the tray, right now and flip it over so that I can get the shape, the circular shape at the bottom so we can cut it to fit. I also realize the two end pieces are no longer going to be attached to the bottom. See how that was a higher line up at the top there? Those are going to be glued directly down on the pizza pan. So this really is just taking your time, measuring and placement, and it should all work out. So you can see here I'm taking it apart because I realize, oh, I can't have that on the bottom. I have to cut above it. So that's what I was talking about. It really is a blessing that I can film this because I would have such a hard time explaining what I'm doing. You can see how I put that in place and now I'm gluing it. I kind of held it down where it needed to be. All of this is done by eye. And I found out the Dollar Tree pizza pans aren't actually all created equal. Some of them are, they have mild imperfections, so you do have to measure as you go. And don't worry if your craft sticks overlap. I'm going to overlap the one at the top right there. I just attached it to the one, that you can see right there in the back. I just attached it at the top, so it's overlapping. You don't notice that at all. And then once you have it together, you can see I'm just pulling the little stakes down and gluing those onto the craft stick. And the last thing I'll do is put a little dot of glue to attach it to either end on those two stakes, kind of the free floating stakes that aren't attached to anything right now. I'm doing it right now. I'm going to pull it up and do it that way and then just secure the rest of it. Again, you'll see what I'm doing. I'm so sorry I can't explain this better. I just hope you can see what I'm doing. And you can slow YouTube videos down. There's an option with playback speed. You can slow me down if you need to see this in slow motion. And that's it. This is how you get that little fence on. So now we're going to give it a nice whitewashed look. And I'm just taking a little bit of the chalk paint and lightly dry brushing because I didn't want to cover it, make it snow white because I was afraid it would kind of disappear. I did want the wood to show just a little bit. And then we're going to take some of that nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and just start gluing it around kind of in a half moon shape. I'm just securing it there. But I did think as I was editing this video that I probably could have put the nautical rope all the way around the pizza pan before I put the fence on, and that would have actually provided more material and foundation for the fence to stick to, and it wouldn't affect the final look. Because it lays, down below, since it's sticking on the outside of the rim and the nautical rope lays below that, you still would be able to create this craft. And so that's something to keep in mind if you want to recreate this. I probably would put the nautical rope all the way around. It's just I had a different idea for what I wanted to put down below there. So now we're taking that furniture pen from the Dollar Tree in the color walnut, and we're just going to be distressing the edges of the fence a little bit just to make it look, well, I don't know how to, I guess, I always say this, but it is the reason I'm doing it. It's to make it look a little bit old and worn because I just think that's a cuter look. Now you can see the middle one, I got a little bit too much on. No big deal, you just sand it off, and that's what we have so far. So I decide that the little top area needs a cute, sweet little pink bow. That's ribbon from Hobby Lobby, 50% off, so it was $2. And I'm taking some of the Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree. I shoved it down inside, and some of this lavender from the Dollar Tree, which I also think is incredibly beautiful. And I'm only going to show this part once in this video because it would get really, really repetitive and boring for you, but I thought you guys might be interested how I put the hanger on the back. I sand the areas I'm going to put the glue down on to rough it up a little bit, and then I'm using duct tape for this because I realize some people may want to hang this outside on a front door, and I want it to be really sturdy for weather. So while the glue is still hot, I kind of put the duct tape down so it all melts together and kind of solders together, and I don't know why, it just seems to be stronger if you do it while it's hot. And then I add a second piece of duct tape on the top there, and I just pinch them really tight in the corners, and it's always worked for me. But we're all done, and I think this came up so cute. this next one, we're going to go ahead and draw some more stripes, and I'm taking the color Burnt Umber from Apple Barrel Paint and some white chalk paint, and I'm mixing it to make a nice creamy soft taupe color, I guess, or maybe it's like a sand color. I'm not sure what you call that. It's a little darker than beige, and I'm going to make some stripes on this pizza pan. So these are the printouts. I actually drew the bunny from a computer screen. I just laid my paper on top of the computer screen and traced a bunny shape, but I will provide that as a printable. And I went ahead and I printed my rose pattern onto cardstock. So that's our little bunny. And now I'm going to take some of the Dollar Tree nautical rope and glue a trim around this pizza pan. So for all of you very observant folks out there, you'll notice I am switching back and forth between a black and blue sweater during this video. It was very cold in my craft room and colder than others on some days, so I had to wear heavier and lighter sweaters depending on the temperature. So now I'm using the Dollar Tree pen again in walnut, the furniture pens. This is kind of my to-go-to, but it's not perfect for every form of distressing, but for this it worked just fine. And my also to-go-to Dollar Tree glue stick, and as you can see, I'm gluing the top or the bottom half first and then the top half like I spoke about before to make sure that it's centered. And then this is a big beautiful pom-pom. Thank you to my daughter who had a package of 6. She bought them for a Tinkerbell Halloween costume and she gave them to me, and it was perfect for his tail. I believe she got them at Michael's originally, and I made a little tiny side bow for his neck. And now I'm putting together a messy bow with a combination of Dollar Tree and Hobby Lobby ribbon. And again, this bow is also included in my tutorial video, so you can get more explanation if you want in that video. And I decide that this needs a little tail that would look cute. So I'm just taking some of that polka dotted ribbon and gluing it down. I'm going to glue the bow in the center, and then I'm going to strategically place the sides down in loops and tack it down with my hot glue so they stay in place. For the finishing touches, I chose to use some Dollar Tree little soft cream flowers, and I put a flower on the bow in the center as well as a pearl from the Dollar Tree in the middle of that flower, and we're all done, and I think he's super cute. Let me know what you think. For this one, I am using the jumbo craft sticks from Walmart, and I'm using 4 of them, and I just start off by cutting the bottoms off nice and even and straight, and then using a medium craft stick to hold it all together. And I'm just cutting the ends of that off. So next I'm going to take my ruler, draw a triangle shape at the top. We're going to be making a little like roof here, and then I'm going to cut that too. Now when I cut those, they do splinter because it's really hard for me to nibble, and I'm using, as you can see, Dollar Tree scissors. And the craft sticks from Walmart, the jumbo ones, are a little better quality, so they're really hard to cut. But it doesn't matter, you guys, if it splinters, because what we're going to do with this, you're not going to see the rooftop anyway. I do go ahead and sand it because I don't want to get splinters, but it's not a big deal, so don't panic if your wood splinters. And that's what we have so far. So now I'm taking a Kleenex and I take it apart. You know, it comes in like 2 pieces, and I'm spraying it with water. And I showed you the glue I was planning on using from the Dollar Tree, the spray glue, but it was clogged. So luckily I had bought that purple spray-on glue, and I ended up using this. It ended up being better because I could see where I sprayed, so that worked out. But you can see what happens when the moisture hits it. See how it's wrinkling up? I've never done this before, but I just had a feeling it would work, and it did. Because we're always trying not to get wrinkles, and in this case I wanted them because I wanted it to mimic bark on a tree. So now those little raised edges there, you know, it's dry now, I'm taking sandpaper to sand those off and kind of shred them open, because you know how bark has that look? It kind of lifts and it shreds, and I don't know, I hope you guys know what I'm talking about, but that's kind of what bark looks like if it's been outside. It gets that look. So I'm doing my best to imitate that. So I'm using the elephant gray to start with to dry brush and bring out those designs, and now I'm using some of the antique wax to finish off the rest of my distressing. This actually ends up looking a little bit like birch wood, even though I didn't mean for it to, but it comes up beautiful. So at first I think, you know what, I'm just gonna make like a roof on the top here. I'll just stain it, but I ended up changing my mind. And it's probably good there's some shadow underneath there anyway, but I'm just showing you the whole process of what I ended up doing. I took a little bit of the wax, I made a little hole there, and then a little bit of the elephant gray. I painted on top of that, and then a little bit more of the wax to outline, and just made it look like a nice little birdhouse. You know how it has a little hole for the birds to go inside? And now we're using the foam eggs from the Dollar Tree. I took them off their little stake there to remove the ribbon and painted them white. Now I was just going to paint them with the Dollar Tree blue paint. This is blue paint from the Dollar Tree. It's that acrylic paint that I rave about. This is more like a glaze. I don't know if I got a faulty one or what, but it's basically see-through, so it didn't cover the eggs like I had wanted them to, but it ended up being better because I think they would have been too dark, and instead I ended up with this really light blue, which looks more natural. When you're talking about eggs in the wild, that's a better blue, so it all worked out. And I drew the shiplap lines on the trays you saw, and now I'm taking some of the Spanish moss, and that's going to be our rooftop. So I decided that looked prettier, so I'm just gluing it on the top, giving it a little bit of a haircut so that it's not too wild and woolly. And then I'm going to take some hot glue the two little sticks on the back there that I had used originally, and glue it down. Now I do end up lowering this birdhouse. Originally I was going to make everything kind of bottom centered and focused, but I decide it looks better not to do that. So I end up pulling it off, repainting the pizza pan, letting it dry, and then gluing my birdhouse lower. But for now, this is what I do, because when I take it off, the whole thing stays together, so I have to show you this part. I put more Spanish moss on the bottom. This is going to be the little nest, and now we're going to use those eggs that we cut in half and glue those on. So this is what we have so far. And then here you can see me repositioning it down lower now because the nest didn't end up being as big as I had thought. I thought I was going to kind of fill in the bottom with a nest, and like a bow, kind of have a bow at the bottom of the nest, but I just decided I wanted the bow at the top. So what I did here was I just made two floral bows, one bigger out of the polka dotted ribbon and one smaller out of the burlap ribbon, and glued them, glue the small one on top of the bigger one, and then I glued the little tails in there, and again strategically kind of looped them and tacked them down with hot glue. And now I'm adding in some Dollar Tree little soft beige flowers in the center of the bow. And for those of you that watch my channel, I've done this many times. I'm taking one of the jumbo craft sticks and deliberately cutting the edges jagged and trying to splinter them to make it look like an old sign. And I'm using the antique wax to distress it a little bit, pencil to write out my word first. Now normally I would write Easter on this, or maybe spring, but I liked this one so much that I am going to keep it up all year round, so I went with the word home instead. And a neat little trick here, if the ink bleeds into the wood beyond your control, you just take the tip of a utility knife and scrape it off, and you can get that edge nice and clean again. So I go ahead and glue this on the top, and I make the twine hanger a little bit longer on purpose because I think that looks super cute. I love this one. Let me know which ones were your favorite today. Birds seem to be really a hot trend this spring and Easter, and so I made this printable here, and I'm showing you how I split it up on two different pieces of paper when it printed up so that it would fill up more of my pizza pan surface. You don't have to do that, but I did it in paint.net, and I do have a video that shows how to do it. It's a Christmas video where I make a reindeer, and I can leave that down below in my description box as well if you want to know how I did that. So I'm showing you how I used masking tape on the back because it didn't make any difference. This is printed up on regular computer paper and it was thick enough that I knew I could get away with masking tape to hold it together because I wanted to make sure the top and the bottom of the birdies didn't slip. You know, I wanted their bodies to be aligned, and I knew with tissue paper that might not, work because that's really transparent once you glue it down. So I went ahead and used a glue stick for that as well, glued it down, and now I'm using some of this Folk Art antiquing wax. I love this brand. It's super cheap and I think it works just as good as the other brand. The other brands that are more expensive, they're all just nice antiquing wax. They're really slippery and slidey and perfect for faux wood. So you'll see I paint it on and then I take a little bit of a tissue and wipe it off to make it a bit softer, and then I even start to apply it with the tissue too, just to make sure it stays nice and soft, and I have a little more control that way, and we give this a nice edge. And now I'm taking my first row of nautical rope and I'm going to go ahead and apply it around the edge. We're going to be doing a total of 2 rows of nautical rope, but we're going to be using the brown nautical rope and now we're going to be using the white nautical rope. So if we just leave it as is, you can see the seam a little bit in real life, and the way you disguise it is you go ahead and take a little bit of white paint and dry brush it, and that hides it perfectly. Now I went a little heavier on the S than I wanted to. You can see that, the bird singing part, and all I did was wet a little bit of tissue and wipe it off while it's still wet, and it came off just fine, and that's it. We're going to start embellishing this, but that's how you go about hiding the seam. So here's some more Hobby Lobby ribbon, another messy bow, and we're going to glue that on the top. Add some pretty greenery. Again, it's a mix of the Dollar Tree, those little yellow, I think they're like little mini roses maybe. I'm not sure what flowers those are. If someone knows, please make a comment down below. And some boxwood from Amazon. And this time I wanted to keep it natural and earthy. I just left the wooden eggs, El Naturel, and glued them side by side. This is actually my daughter's favorite today. She took this one, and I did seal it with a clear varnish. For this next one, I used the leftover paint I had mixed to paint the inside a soft beige color or tan color, and I ended up doing something different, so you can skip this part, but I wanted to show it to you just in case it makes a difference in the outcome. I don't think it would, but just in case. So I've been having a lot of you request that I make a religious Easter decor piece, so I thought I would do that today. I'm taking this Dollar Tree wooden cross and some of the Dollar Tree Mardi Gras beads, also called mariachi beads here on the West Coast, and I'm gluing them around the edge of this cross. Now you'll see here I'm taking and putting little beads of hot glue in between each one of those beads to make sure it's nice and sturdy. I'm going to take some of the Dollar Tree lightweight spackling and just fill in the top hole, and then I'm going to give this cross one coat of white chalk paint. And it does take a little bit of time because there's lots of nooks and crannies between the beads, and my favorite well, I guess it's not really a brush, it's a sponge, but my favorite way to get in between those nooks and crannies are these sponges here from the Dollar Tree, because they do have the beveled thin edges, and that allows you to turn it sideways and kind of smush the paint in there, and that way you don't miss any spots. I'm using some elephant gray from Apple Barrel paint just to dry brush the beads and kind of make them look a little distressed. I really wanted to keep this true to my decor style. This was one of the more challenging pizza pan crafts in this film because what I saw online, I didn't like what I saw online, the color combinations, and I wanted to keep like I said, true to my decor style, and make, you know, a beautiful rustic cross here. So what I ended up doing was finding this sheet of paper online. It's the Hem Amazing Grace, and it's on antique paper, and I printed it up on tissue paper. So I did show you how I did my tissue paper method at the very beginning of the video. If you missed that, go ahead and rewind all the way to the beginning. And I'm just cutting it off here, and I'm not worried about whether this is even or not, because as you see, I'm going to start tearing it in a bunch of little pieces, and then I'm just going to start placing those little pieces on the pan to get an idea where I'd like to glue them down. I'm now taking the elephant gray and just lightly dry brushing, kind of a distressed look, I guess. You can see I've missed spots here and there. That's what I wanted. That was a look I was going for. I just did the border in the gray, and now I'm taking the Dollar Tree glue stick, and I'm going to apply heavy coats of it, nice and thick, and start placing the music paper down to cover all of the inside of the pizza pan. And just to distress this a little tiny bit more, I took some more of the elephant gray and lightly, very lightly dry brushed just a little bit on the surface. I didn't even hit every single area, just here and there. And now I'm taking some more of the Dollar Tree nautical rope in white, or maybe that's cream, the nautical rope. I'm not sure what color that is. I always call it white. It's an off-white maybe, or a cream white. And I'm putting a border around the tray. Using a generous amount of hot glue, I'm going to go ahead and glue the cross down in the center of the tray. This is some ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and I made a 2-loop bow and then a floral bow from the gingham print gray one, and then I glued that in the center. I'm just going to glue that at the bottom of the cross, fluff it out a little bit. I decide that it would look better if it has some ribbon tails, so I go ahead and I use some extra ribbon just to glue some tails at the bottom later. You'll see in the video. But for now, I'm taking some of this beautiful lavender that they have at the Dollar Tree. They have some really pretty lavender this year at the Dollar Tree. I think they got complaints from one year when it was all falling apart, the petals. They were all falling off. So now it's really, really sturdy and nice. And I'm just wrapping the bottom of it with a little bit of the Dollar Tree twine. I'm going to glue that in the center of my cross because I thought that was a perfect embellishment. And you'll see me glue the bottom of the ribbon on now. I just dovetailed the ends of them, put 2 pieces on. One has wire, one doesn't, so they lay really pretty. And now I decide that that one little area there that was missing music was bothering me, so I went ahead and added some more music notes to that area. And we're all done. This actually ended up being one of my favorites in this video, considering I didn't know where I was going with this. I think the colors and the feel, I hope the camera does it justice because it came up absolutely stunning. And this was gifted to my daughter's mother-in-law. Happy Easter. For this next one, you're going to need 3 eggs. This is a printable I created, also down below. And I'm using cardstock. I just printed it up on cardstock. You could use cereal box, poster board, whatever you want. and some fabric from Amazon. I believe the link down below in my description box because it's now available. And I'm gluing it down using a glue stick to prevent wrinkling and bubbling. I tend to go with the driest glue. Now, I haven't found a difference between the Dollar Tree glue and like an Elmer's brand name glue, so you can use whatever you want. Just make sure that you are generous with it and you apply plenty of it. If you want to seal this in, go ahead and mist them lightly with a clear varnish or a polyacrylic spray, and then you can go ahead and seal your crafts with whatever you want. At that point, you could just do a heavy coat of a polyacrylic spray. I often do that too and skip the Mod Podge if I don't want like a really plasticky look on my craft, and that works as well as a protective barrier. But I know you can, some people will say, oh, you can use hairspray. I used to do that, and then some of my crafts started yellowing as the years went on. So I just wanted to warn you about that. So I avoid hairspray now if I know I'm going to keep a craft. If you're not going to keep a craft and you're just going to use it for that season, hairspray works perfectly fine. So now I'm just taking some Hobby Lobby ribbon that I got on sale for 50% off. As I mentioned before, you're going to see quite a bit of Hobby Lobby ribbon in this video because they had a big sale, and I went and I bought about 10 different rolls because obviously there's lots of choices there and it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm just embellishing the eggs with a combination of Dollar Tree ribbon and Hobby Lobby ribbon. The one I'm going to edge these little eggs in is from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to edge all 3 of them. Using this ruler I got from the Dollar Tree. This is actually a really nice ruler for $1.25. It's metal. I'm going to put some faux shiplap lines on the tray. And then now I'm taking again Hobby Lobby ribbon and the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just doing a little, you'll see what I do, I just roll it around there, glue it, and put these little strips of ribbon around the nautical rope border because I thought that would be a nice accent. So when it comes to gluing my things down, you'll notice I glue one side and then another side, and that's because every time I think I know where I want it and I try to glue it and then put it down, it'll suddenly be crooked or whatever. I like to have my stuff laying down first, positioned totally straight, and then I know it's safe to glue it. And the only way I found that I can glue things is to do it without moving them very much. So I tend to do one side and then the other side. So a lot of you will ask me how I make my bows, and rather than show a tutorial in every video because we make so many bows when we craft, I do have a wonderful video out called 10 Bow Hacks, and I will have that linked down below in my description box. It is time stamped, so you can just hit that time and it will take you straight to the bow I'm making now, which is called a floral bow. I took 2 ribbons from Hobby Lobby and looped them together so I would have a nice mix, and now I'm just using a combination of some Dollar Tree flowers that I got and some boxwood that I ordered off of Amazon. And these are some wooden eggs from the Dollar Tree. I decided to just roughly paint little pink stripes on it to make it look cute. And I'm going to glue that on the center of this bow, and we're all done. And I think this one came up so festive and so pretty. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you will have 20 years of good luck. Just kidding. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. And until the next one, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.